Chapter 1. Summer shivered. Sitting on a rickety wooden pew, she stared at the carnage. Her parents lying motionless in front of the kneeling altar, the shadow of angel wings spreading across their smoking bodies. The scene was surreal, impossible, yet the very outcome they had feared for so long. The angel, blonde and beautiful, crouched in front of her, her face glowing.
"I'm sorry you had to witness this."
Her pupils seemed to blaze.
"It's all for the best. If we are to live in perfect unity, all must agree to the common worship."
Summer looked away. Although the angel spewed lies, disagreeing with her might incite another blast from her deadly eyes. The angel set a hand on Summer's knee.
"Since, by law, you're too young to execute and old enough to survive on your own, I will leave you here to fend for yourself. Just be sure to warn others to heed the instructions of the holy angels."
She rose, flew to the exit, and closed the door behind her. Summer knelt at her mother's side and lifted the cross she always wore, the coarse wood scorched by the twin lasers that drilled holes through her chest. She untied the leather cord and held the cross in her trembling hand. As she caressed it with a fingertip, her face warmed, then blazed. Unity. An angel's buzzword. A patriot's obscenity. What good was unity if everyone united around evil? It was all wrong. So very wrong. The door opened again. Summer stuffed the cross into her skirt pocket. At the entry, framed by midday light, a man strode in and took off a military-style cap. Dressed in camo and carrying a rifle, he bent his lanky body and stooped at Summer's side. "Do you know who I am?" he asked, kindness in his tone. She nodded.
"The Resistance Commander."
His eyes, as gray as his hair, sparkled. "I apologize for arriving too late. I came as soon as I heard from our regional watchman."
"I understand. It's not your fault."
"What's your name? And, how old are you?"
"Summer. I'm 17.
"Old enough." He threaded his cap through his fingers. "Would you like to join us?"
"To battle the angels?"
"The so-called angels. No real angel would murder your parents."
"I know."
She sniffed and brushed a tear away.
"But why me?"
"I need someone to help me expose them for the monsters they really are. And you're perfect for the job."
"But I'm just a
kid. I know. But if you join us, we'll make you into what you need to be. And even if you don't, you're welcome to live in our farming community." Summer gazed again at the faces of her parents, both noble, both peaceful. They were such good people, loving, giving, and kind. The commander was right. The angels were monsters. They had to be stopped. "I'll send someone to take care of your folks." He rose and extended a hand. "Will you come?" She took his hand, and they walked out together, leaving the carnage behind. Summer stood in a line of 10 new recruits, all dressed in boots and camo. She glanced at Jack Garrison standing at her side, tall and muscular, eyes straight ahead, the portrait of courage. How could she, a scrawny teenager, ever be a true soldier like him? She clutched the scorched cross dangling at her chest. She could do this. She had to do this. Nothing else mattered. Commander Barks stood in front of the line and raised his right hand. "Repeat after me." The recruits raised their hands and recited the resistance oath, ending with, "And I swear to give all that is necessary, including my life, to rid the world of the angel scourge." 20 camo-clothed onlookers applauded. Handshakes spread all around. A few greeted Summer, though no one except Jack's sister Trudy asked for her name. After most had filtered out, Jack, Trudy, and their brother Ben remained, talking to Barks. Ben, speaking to the commander with a confident stance, was obviously the leader of the siblings. Although he and his wife, Kat, had been part of the resistance force for quite a while, he had joined Jack and Trudy in taking the oath. It seemed that this family trio did everything together. When their group broke up, Barks strode to Summer and extended a hand. "Welcome to the resistance."
"Thank you, sir."
Summer shook his hand.
"So, what's next?"
Barks glanced at the Garrisons, then looked again at Summer. "Follow me." As they walked past the trio, Ben whispered something to Trudy. She stomped on his foot.
"Don't be a jerk. She can be trained. She's the same age I am, so it's possible."
"Ignore Ben," Barks said as they walked toward a folding table with a deck of cards on top. "In his eyes, a female soldier has to,
prove herself?"
Summer asked. Barks nodded. "And you'll certainly get a chance to do that." They sat at the table across from each other. Barks picked up the deck and fanned the cards. "Pick 4 and place them face down." Summer did so.
"Telling my fortune?"
"In a way, but it's really a magic trick." He set a finger on one of the cards. "I need a spy who can memorize complex codes that will allow for secure communications. Therefore, this spy must become a jack of all trades." He turned the card over, revealing the jack of spades. "You will need to be a quick study." He touched another of her selected cards. "I need a spy who can infiltrate Angel headquarters and get close to the Angel's Hive Queen. She is the key to everything." He turned the second card over, revealing the Queen of Spades. "You will need to learn extraordinary stealth." He touched the third card. "I need a spy who is beautiful, charming, physically fit, someone even a king would desire." He turned that card face up. The King of Spades.
"But I'm none of those things," Summer said. "I'm a skinny scarecrow."
Bark smiled. "Beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and you're certainly a lovely young lady in mine." Her cheeks warmed.
"Thank you."
"You're welcome." He cleared his throat. "In any case, you will go to a training camp to develop whatever skills and fitness you're lacking. My plan is long-term. It might take years to play out." He set a finger on the fourth card and pushed the others to the side. "Finally, I need a spy who hates the angels as much as any patriot in our fold." He turned the card over, this time slowly, a slight tremble in his hand. The Ace of Spades now lay alone on the table. "Long ago, this card was considered a symbol of death. It means you must be willing to die for the cause, just as you swore in your oath. And since you have no living close relatives, I'm giving you the opportunity to become the spy I need." He paused for a moment, a hint of wetness in his eyes. "What do you say?" As Summer stared at the card, the church scene returned to mind. The angel flying into the sanctuary, demanding that those who stood with the angels exit immediately. 24 worshippers ran out, leaving only her parents standing firm. The angel shot both with her laser eyes, killing them instantly. A cold and callous execution. Now it was time to pay them back. She picked up the ace.
I'm your spy, Commander.
Chapter 2. 4 years later. Ben set his plasma rifle on the ground and propped the angel's corpse in front of a tree, pressing her leather-like wings against the trunk. In the filtered moonlight, a glow emanated from under the bill of her military patrol cap. When he flipped it away, golden tresses fell to her camo-covered shoulders, and her serene face shone brightly, though she had died several minutes earlier.
Are you there?
Jack's quiet voice came from Ben's earbud.
What's the delay?
Ben adjusted the bud.
Got a patrol angel. Female. Older teen. Maybe early 20s.
He eyed the gaping hole in her chest, still smoking at the edges.
Took just one plasma shot to kill her.
Then she's a grunt. Probably first generation.
Ben touched the angel's cheek, smooth and radiant. No wonder so many people were fooled by these phonies. The so-called angels often chose attractive, youthful humans, and the radiance added to the deception.
More likely Gen 2. She's got the glow and wings. And I hit her in the heart. Close range. That'll kill her too.
True. But if Gen 2s are patrolling this area at night, we've got more trouble than we bargained for. We're far from headquarters. Maybe someone tipped them off.
Trudy's voice filtered through the earbud, even quieter than Jack's.
Don't be such a pessimist. I found the jeep at the coordinates. Everything's inside, including the medical bag and vaccine cooler. Our mole came through. We've got this.
Good.
Ben glanced around for any sign of movement. Nothing stirred.
I'm at the pickup site, and I checked the locker. The security IDs are in hand.
What are you going to do with the angel?
Jack asked.
We have to be to HQ security gate shortly after dawn. Not enough time to remove the implant in the field or take her to dock. I didn't bring an extraction kit,
Trudy said.
This isn't a mission of mercy. Not for the angels, anyway.
Ben pushed a strand of hair from the young woman's ghostly face.
Mercy mission or not, I can set this poor girl's soul free.
How do you know she's not a volunteer? Jack asked. And maybe her soul's not even there anymore.
I have an angel scan. Hang on.
Ben withdrew the palm-sized disc from a belt pouch and set the electrode side against the girl's forehead. The screen lit up, showing an image of her brain. A red blob with snaking tentacles surrounded and impaled a white, radiant sphere embedded in the brainstem, like scarlet serpents spearing an innocent dove.
Her soul's there. The implant has it trapped. Even if she was a volunteer before, she isn't now.
All right, Jack said. Your call. I doubt I can talk you out of it.
Ben turned the girl's head, withdrew his handgun from its hip holster, and, pushing her soft locks to the side, set the barrel at the base of her skull. Her smallish nose and fair complexion made her look like a younger version of Cat. But he couldn't let sad memories stop him from doing the right thing.
Sorry, young lady, but it's for your own good.
Trudy stood at the dark roadside and stared at the pavement, her muscles tense as she waited for the inevitable. As the mission's point man, Ben made the final decisions, even some that bordered on suicidal. A gunshot rang from the earbud. Trudy flinched. As she imagined a soul escaping from a ruptured skull and sailing into the air, she blew a sigh. Another tragic casualty. But at least the girl was no longer a prisoner of the implanted slave master.
Bugging out,
Ben said, breathless, apparently running.
With any luck, the gunshot will draw the patrollers here, and I'll be long gone.
A hum blended in. Ben's electric motorcycle.
Be there in about 20. Watch out for sky sweep drones. When that angel doesn't report in, they'll search for her.
Trudy scanned the sky through the tree branches, mostly bare, as a cool breeze rattled the remaining dry leaves and prompted her to zip her jacket. In the distant valley, a light blinked over the city skyline. Maybe an airplane. Too fast to be a landscape-scanning angel drone. So far, so good. But from this elevated perch, blinded by the mountain to her rear, it was impossible to be sure. The gibbous moon hung low in the pre-dawn hours, and the usual stars dotted the blackness along with the new celestial lights that drew an eye-like disk of glittering specks across a fourth of the visible sky, a cluster that appeared when the angels arrived several years earlier. The angel-driven media dubbed it the Oculus Gate, an eye in the sky through which the universal deity watched the planet. Ben, however, gave it a different label during their first resistance meeting: Hell's Gate. To this day, no one in their rebel faction could be sure why it was really out there, though the theories and rumors chilled the bravest of souls. "I found the tech gear," Jack said through the earbud. "We're set. See you in 10, sis."
"Roger that."
Trudy's words emanated in twin puffs of white.
"No bogeys in sight. I'll prep the Jeep."
She attached the radio to her belt, opened the vehicle's rear swing-out door, and flipped up the cooler's lid. A cloud of vapor rose into the humid air, adding to the morning's growing fog. She lifted the cooling blanket. Underneath, several trays of fake vaccine vials lay stacked in tiers, 500 doses. She set the blanket back in place and closed the lid. Perfect. Enough to stop the border invasion. Now if only she and Ben could infiltrate Angel headquarters without getting caught. She unzipped a suitcase lying next to the cooler. Their physician disguises lay folded neatly inside. Once again, perfect. But could they really pull it off? After months of preparation, now that the mission was finally underway, nothing seemed certain. Fooling the security drones and getting into Angel headquarters would be hard enough, but the rest of the plan? She shook her head, casting away the doubts. Confidence was the key. Ben and Jack never showed fear, at least not while she was around. She had to avoid being the protected kid sister and display the bravado and medical skills that convinced them to assign her this role. Otherwise, they would abort the mission and send her packing. And, worst of all, every remaining patriot in the region would die. Trudy fished a band from her pocket. After tying her hair back, she pried the Jeep's inner side panel away and set it on the cooler. She grabbed a flashlight from her belt and shone the beam into the newly revealed compartment. Inside lay an unlabeled toothpaste-like tube, probably skin glow cream, and a plastic case no bigger than a ring box, both hidden carefully for a good reason. If captured, the driver who brought the Jeep here could explain away the vials in the cooler as rejected medical supplies, but these two items had no purpose besides deception. She removed both, pushed the tube into her pocket, and drew the case closer to her eyes. Inside, a pair of tiny glass containers glimmered, no bigger than 1mm vials. How could these nearly invisible capsules hold a monster? Yes, the experiments had worked, but those test monsters were dead. Whether or not these capsules could contain a supernatural captive who was desperate to escape remained to be seen. A hum drifted on the breeze. She pushed the capsule case into her pocket next to the glow cream tube, snapped the Jeep's panel back in place, and turned the flashlight off as she pivoted toward the sound. Seconds later, Jack, seated on his electric motorcycle, careened around a curve, one of many on this winding forest road. As usual, he rode much too close to the edge, only inches from the nearly vertical drop, probably just to scare her. Making her shudder had been a favorite hobby of his ever since her toddler years. But she couldn't bat an eye. Not this time. After stopping next to the Jeep, he shut off the motor and dismounted, wearing black leather from his jacket to his boots. He slipped off his helmet, releasing his dark, curly locks and revealing a smiling, angular face, clean-shaven for a change. "Everything ready?" Trudy nodded.
"Ready to kick some angel butt, if that's what you mean."
"Well, that and some much dirtier business." He rolled his motorcycle off the road and into the forest. "Gotta hide my bike and ditch some stuff I don't need. Be back in a minute." With Jack out of sight, Trudy let herself shudder. That dirtier business would be far dirtier than anything she had ever been a part of. But there was no way around it. It had to be done. When Jack returned, now without his bike, helmet, and leather riding gear, he stood with Trudy as they looked down the road.
"Any idea what Ben's thinking?"
she asked.
"About the dirtier business, I mean."
Jack brushed off his camo cargo pants. "He's conflicted, as usual. But he'll get the job done. Always has."
"They chose the wrong side."
Trudy crossed her arms tightly.
"They deserve it."
"Hey, no need to convince me. It's kill or be killed. I vote for staying alive. And I don't think we have to convince Ben. He has too much invested in this."
"You mean he hopes to find Cat?"
Jack smiled in a sad sort of way. "He'll never give up. But don't worry. His head'll be in the game. Trust me, I know what he's going through. It takes time to get over it." Trudy averted her eyes. The words, "as if you've gotten over it," came to mind, but no use stabbing a wounded heart. She retrieved the capsule case from her pocket and handed it to him.
"Let's see if they hold a charge."
"When Ben gets here." He pushed the case into his pocket and again watched the road. Soon, a new hum drifted in on the gentle breeze. Ben appeared, his bike skidding around the curve and heading for the ledge. At the last second, he leaped off and hit the pavement running, his rifle strapped to his shoulder and his helmet nowhere in sight. The bike flew over the ravine in a plunging arc and disappeared. Ben sprinted the rest of the way, his camo jacket flapping, and halted in front of Trudy and Jack, gasping for breath.
"Bogey's on my tail. Sky sweep's coming."
"This way!"
Trudy hustled to the Jeep, flung open the cooler, and pulled the blanket out. When her brothers joined her, the trio huddled low behind the Jeep and wrapped themselves in the blanket's frigid material, leaving a small gap to look through. Trudy in the middle. In the forest, the treetops shook, blown about by the drone's massive propellers, aimed at the ground to keep the craft aloft. A red light flashed, bathing everything in a crimson wash. It stayed on for far too long. Jack whispered,
"My bike was still warm. Maybe they spotted that."
"Small heat signature,"
Ben said, a bead of sweat trickling into his 5-day beard.
"It'll look like an animal. The bike's no bigger than a deer."
"Not even that big."
Jack shuddered.
"A wolf, maybe." Jack,
Trudy nudged his ribs.
are you afraid of the big bad wolf? You're shivering.
He hissed.
I'm shivering because I'm covered by a liquid nitrogen blanket.
She grinned.
Yeah, right. Uh-huh. I believe that.
Well, believe what you want. We'll see who's shivering when...
The red light flicked off. The area darkened, and the treetops settled. Seconds later, the light flashed on again far from the jeep. Ben pulled the blanket away, used a sleeve to mop the remaining sweat from his wide brow, and ran a hand through his closely cropped hair. With every move, vapor rose from his overheated body, barely cooled at all by the blanket.
No time to lose. They won't stop looking. Not with the Gen 2 missing.
Trudy took the blanket.
I'll stow this.
Ben tossed his rifle into the back of the jeep, leaped into the driver's seat, and started the engine while Jack slid into the rear compartment in front of the supplies. After closing the cooler, Trudy hustled to the front passenger seat and jumped in.
Let's roll.
Rolling.
Ben shifted into gear and drove onto the road, headlights off. As hoped, the moon provided enough light. The forecast for clear skies had held true.
Time to check for updates.
Trudy turned the radio on and set the frequency to 87.7. The speakers emitted a mechanical voice.
Thumb scans required.
Trudy set her thumb on the dashboard scanner. A light passed from left to right beneath it. When she lifted her thumb, Ben set his on the sensor. Then Jack took his turn, leaning over the seat and reaching a lanky arm to the dashboard. A moment later, the radio returned with a man clearing his throat.
Commander Barks,
Jack said. I'd know that sound anywhere.
Why him?
Trudy asked.
Recording updates for field agents is below his pay grade.
Ben huffed.
As if any of us get paid. Greetings, Ben, Jack, and Trudy Garrison,
Barks said in his usual low, commanding tone.
If everything is going according to plan, you are listening to this message less than 1 hour after I began recording it. And you might be wondering why I am personally providing your last-minute instructions.
He knew you'd ask, Jack said to Trudy. Kinda spooky.
Recent radio transmissions indicate, Barks continued, that other pockets of resistance are in deep trouble. Our Eurasian allies have been blitzed by tanks and strafed by attack helicopters. Only a handful of fugitives remain to report the atrocities. The Angels have besieged patriots in Neo-Africa, and they are nearing starvation, like in the farms that we have in our community.
He told that group they should pose as farmers, Jack said. He's probably still ticked off that they didn't.
Shh!
Ben and Trudy hissed at the same time.
Our mission is, therefore, crucial. We have an opportunity to punch a hole in the heart of Angel headquarters and make them hemorrhage, perhaps fatally. Even if they survive, they will likely call for reinforcements from other regions, thereby giving relief and hope to our beleaguered allies. The benefit will be great, but the danger is high. The most perilous mission we have ever undertaken. If we fail, everyone in our community will die, and the Angels will have no force to oppose them, either in this region or in any other around the world. Therefore, I am personally in charge for the duration.
Good, Ben said.
He needed to dump that ultimate weapon project. It's doomed.
Trudy firmed her lips. Ben meant that, without Cat, the weapon project was doomed. But he didn't want to say it out loud. Too painful. Barks cleared his throat again.
Your contact at Angel headquarters is a woman named Chantal. She's been working undercover as a security tech for more than a year. Because of how deep her cover is, We don't know her alias, and she has not provided any updates. During the planning of this mission, we have been sending her encoded communiques through a courier who drops them off at a secret site. We know only that the messages disappear without a response, which means that either she has read them or they have been intercepted by the angels. We are operating on the assumption that she knows her role. If the messages have been intercepted and decoded, then your mission will likely lead to your capture and death. Jack blew through his flapping lips.
Thanks for that. A real boost to our confidence. Trudy shushed him.
Shh! Be still!
After the implantation, Bark said, Chantal will meet Ben and Trudy on level 1. We are not certain what she will be wearing, but the tech uniform includes a white polo shirt with an angel logo on the left breast pocket. A drone will likely be accompanying her, and she is to lead Ben and Trudy to the authentic vaccine. Your code phrase is, "The building seems quiet today." This will not raise an alert if you speak it to the wrong person, because it is Angel Sabbath, and most people will be going to the worship service at the city's temple. Chantal's response will be, "Angels are always on call." Since we are not certain that Chantal has received these passcodes, if your escort does not answer in this way, it might not be reason for alarm. She still might be Chantal. Yet, proceeding with the mission could be dangerous. Whether or not it should be scrubbed will be up to your discretion.
He means, Jack said, don't you dare screw this up. Do it or die trying.
Your next step, Bucks continued, is to meet your temple contact in town, which necessitates a pass through a checkpoint. You should have your ID passes by now.
Ben reached into his jacket pocket and withdrew a trio of gray discs the size of an ancient silver dollar. He handed one each to Trudy and Jack.
As you have experienced, there are more checkpoints traveling to the city than to Angel headquarters. We believe the Angels are preparing for a big event at the city's temple, but we haven't yet learned what it is. In any case, the purpose of your city visit is as follows. We received a cryptic message from our spy at the temple requesting a face-to-face meeting with a field agent to facilitate a message handoff. We have no passphrases for that meeting. You will have to use your skills to find the spy and gain the knowledge she wishes to transmit.
Trudy glanced at Ben and Jack in turn.
Their narrowed eyes made them look as puzzled as she felt.
A spy in the temple? That was a revelation. At least they now knew the spy's gender.
That is all the information we have at this time. If you encounter obstacles that require immediate assistance, contact Satellite Outpost 7 using the newest security codes. I will be monitoring the transmissions.
Something clicked, and low static replaced the broadcast. Trudy whistled. 3 words. What in blazes?
Yeah, Jack said. This Chantal chick is buried pretty deep.
Super deep. No contact in a year? I've never heard of that. What if she got discovered? Jack set a finger gun to his temple.
Then she's dead, and this mission's already shot.
Ben adjusted the rearview mirror to get a better look at Jack.
Already shot. Funny.
It's not funny that Barks has this thing for female spies, Trudy said. Ever since his granddaughter died in the first plague, it seems like he's trying to replace her. I wonder about his judgment sometimes. You know, too easily trusting someone who reminds him of her.
And who's this mysterious spy in the city? Jack asked.
I've heard about her, Ben said. Not sure what level she is, but most of the hierarchy are women, so it's no surprise that our spy is one as well. Trudy clutched her throat.
Ugh! Gag me. Can you imagine pretending to be an angel sycophant, sucking up to those monsters, kissing their blessed feet at the altar?
To keep from barfing, Ben said. Let's focus on what we know. Like the passcode. The building seems quiet today. Easy enough.
Any idea who Chantal really is?
Trudy asked. Must be from another rebel base, Ben said. Trudy's the only female field agent I've heard of. No. Wait. Remember when we took the resistance oath?
Yeah,
Jack said.
Seems like forever ago.
Anyway, there was another female in the line. Anyone remember her?
Jack chuckled. The skinny teen. A sure washout. Her name was Summer, Trudy said. And don't be so mean. She had a good heart. Hated the angels with a passion.
Ben nodded. She did have passion, but I guess she flaked out. I never saw her after Barks took her to the side, probably to tell her how tough the first PT drill would be. So, back to the original point. Trudy's the only female I know of who made it. Not that they would tell me about others who trained elsewhere.
Trudy poked Ben's ribs. You'd be the last person I'd tell. You're way overprotective. Too chivalrous.
Wait. Just because I open a door for a woman, it doesn't mean—
Get real, Ben. I'm not talking about opening a door. Being a field agent is life or death. And you think a woman's life is worth more than your own. You can't do that. In the field, we have to be equals.
Ben rolled his eyes. Ugh, stop parroting the training video. I know the spiel. But I have yet to meet a woman who walks that talk. When it comes to acting like a soldier, getting down and dirty, sleeping in fly-infested mud, washing in a cold river, and
peeing in a bottle, Jack said.
Ben and Trudy both turned and frowned at him.
He shrugged. Just trying to help.
Anyway, Ben continued, in the first Angel raids, every woman soldier I worked with flaked out. Every single one.
Not Kat, Trudy said. Well, she probably never peed in a bottle, but you know what I mean. She got down and dirty.
Ben nodded. Okay. One exception. I'll give you that. Kat's 1 in a million.
And me. I haven't flaked out.
You haven't been tested. Let's hope it doesn't get that bad.
Trudy folded her hands tightly in her lap. After biting her lip, she whispered, Don't worry. I won't let you down. For the next couple of minutes, all was quiet as Ben drove the Jeep into the valley. In the rear compartment, Jack took the containment capsules from their case, set them in a rectangular analyzer the size of a matchbox, and plugged it into the laptop computer provided by their mole. I'm pushing an electronic signal into the capsules. We'll know if they're viable in a couple of minutes. Trudy leaned over the seat and watched the operation. They better be, or we're sunk. Now in the valley and on a wider road, Ben turned on the headlights.
You're not wrong. The only option would be to retreat and come up with a new plan before the invasion.
Trudy frowned. A new plan? The scouts said that Angel forces would send invasion soldiers into their farming sector within days, not weeks or months. When the invaders finished spreading the contagion, every man, woman, and child would die. There was no time to come up with a new plan. This had to work. She muttered under her breath. Retreat is not an option.
Ben sighed. I hear you, but those implant capsules are critical. With any other glitch, we can improvise.
Not with the vaccine. If we can't get the real stuff from the angels.
Yeah, baby!
Jack pumped a fist as he stared at his laptop screen.
They're holding like champs!
Oh, good.
Trudy gazed out her side window. Dawn's first rays appeared on the horizon, casting red highlights across thin clouds.
Looks like the show's on.